Hello everyone, my project is called Living Connected in Hazelwood. My project cluster is the Gladstone to Greenway group. In my introduction, I would explain the powerful tool of community-based design in landscape architecture. This project consisted of talking to community members firsthand and getting various perspectives on what they want to see in their community. Every person I talked to had their own creative ideas for public space and what their concerns were for them in those areas. Now let's jump into the project. You can see here in the red outline where I've decided to do a project study zone. I'm looking at the street of Sylvan Avenue and its surrounding landscapes. These are the four main goals of my project: to connect, to build social enhancement, create access, and manage. For connect, I have a goal to strengthen community connections through shared space and shared ideals. For social enhancement, this is to carefully study and design what I found as affordable housing opportunities in this area. I aim to enhance social interactions and strengthen the cultural image of Hazelwood this way. Access is to address accessibility concerns I've come across, and this will include creative, accessible forms of future transportation. And manage. I have a goal to show the benefits of proper stormwater management techniques throughout this project. For my selected analysis. So why affordable housing? It's something I've noticed is in need around Hazelwood. You may have heard of the Hazelwood Initiative. They're an organization located within Hazelwood that have been helping local people find housing. This is why I chose to help do an analysis of where more homes could be built. In this map illustration, the red pieces of property I have visually analyzed to be too steep to build a house on. And the blue outlines are properties the residents currently own or live. The green lines are where I have found the most potential for housing due to its relatively flat surface. There are some existing concrete housing pads here as well from the past that indicates to me there used to be homes here. The cyan is a wide flat area. I have found potential to add a restorative garden space where I will be explaining that later on. Okay, in my early concepts, I first wanted to show you the idea of consolidating land and subdividing it. The properties you just saw in the selected analysis I found suitable for housing. I've merged together and subdivided the properties into 12 homes. I'll explain later on why the homes are oriented this way. Okay, so this is the early concept on how I anticipated laying out the various meadows, paths, and gathering spaces in my restorative garden. Alongside the autumn cherry trees and perennial shrubs, there are two different types of worm season meadow mixes. And there's one meadow seed grass mix over here. Here you can see the site as a west to east section showing the scale of the space next to one another. This is my phasing timeline for how I would anticipate the project be laid out. First, I would study areas for potential affordable housing. You can see that here in cyan. Second, we would need to subdivide and consolidate land to set up housing in those chosen areas. Third, in yellow, we can look at creating accessible transportation for the future. Fourth, here in the red arrows, we can address stormwater management. And fifth, there's an opportunity to develop a restorative garden along Sylvan Avenue, which I've just explained. Okay, so this is my affordable housing design. This plan view helps to show how I leveled the garden and underneath patio. These 20 by 40 foot buildings are supported for single family and couple housing. The orientation of the buildings creates open and shared spaces for each resident living in them. Front entrance perspective. This shows the entrance comes right off the street at 45-degree angle. Residents can easily access their homes this way. Between each home is a staircase that gives access to the skywalk that is connected throughout the backyard. This is a shared garden perspective. This perspective is to show the shared garden space that each adjacent resident can use to grow food. This space creates social connectivity between neighbors and creates a sustainable place for them to grow food and spend time together. Underneath the deck is a patio which also creates interactions for residents living there. This is a shared deck perspective. On the second floor of the building is a shared deck where those residents can grill out and have their own unique social interactions. From there is easy access to the skywalk, and that connects each residence to one or other. Now I'm going to talk about my skywalk design. This is a section along the skywalk here in this black line. This helps show the overall total length of the skywalk, which is roughly 1,075 feet long. The skywalk itself is going to be made of local wood and any wood that would be refurbished from clearing small portions of the greenway. Having each resident connected to each other this way is a unique experience for them and keeps everyone connected. Walking perspective on the skywalk. In this perspective, you can see how the skywalk gradually works its way down and alongside the existing landforms. Because the skywalk is raised 10 feet, there are various views toward the Monongahela River and it creates relaxing experiences as you work your way alongside the greenway. This is a 10-foot retaining wall. Given the specific area of this housing design, I had to create a 10-foot retaining wall that would hold up some of the greenway to put in the skywalk. For homes living here, there would not be an underneath patio because that would require too much grading costs to implement the wall, unfortunately. This is the final product of my Sylvan Avenue restorative garden. In this plan view, it helps to show the overall scale of the garden. The meadow uses steel fences as a threshold when entering the garden area. The paths are organic within the meadow, but when you enter the gathering space, it becomes more geometric on the edges. Visual form starts to come out when you place these trees and have a backdrop to the space, which is the greenway. This is the perspective sitting in the meadow. You can get a sense of how it feels to be inside the meadow. Space is great for sitting down or relaxing after a long walk and want to come and enjoy the aromatic smells of the meadow. This is an axonometric of the gathering space. This perspective helps to show the addition of open space which is needed for the community engagement activities. This would include gathering together to hold cultural events or holding block parties. Right here, I thought it would be great to place an industrial public art sculpture from the local industrial art co-op. This sculpture is just a placeholder for now in my model. This is a perspective of my micromobility station. The station is at the end of Sylvan Avenue because it would connect residents to Oakland, where a bike path has been proposed by a different organization. Renting bikes will prevent carbon emissions and save energy. So you may ask, what is micromobility? Well, in short, micromobility, also known as MM, is any transportation tool that can get you a short distance. Vehicles are limited to 25 miles per hour. It can include standard and two-wheeled electric scooters or bicycles. Typically, they are rented, owned, or shared, and the lane itself is separated by the road by a white line and has to be at least 4 feet wide of use. And this is a 5-foot wide lane. This is my retention basin and level spreader design. So this is a perspective taking on the raised pavilion in the gathering space. I wanted the youth to be able to come here into the space and learn proper stormwater management techniques. The idea of the lever spreader is that stormwater will be collected off of Home Rule Street, run down the bioswale, hit the level spreader, and evenly flow excess stormwater off into the basin. This is a perspective on Home Rule Street. In this perspective, you can see how I had to grade out a short swale on the lower side of the road where runoff would be collected. This is a perspective of the wet meadow. This is taken at the one end of the skywalk design that starts from my gathering space in the restorative garden. This walkway is at 5% grade and has a landing every 40 feet, so it's ADA accessible to the public. Walking along the skywalk, you can stop and look at the wet meadow species. This is a good area for the meadow because of rain runoff that comes down and off of the greenway. In conclusion, I believe this design helps the community stay connected and improves overall living conditions for everyone. I'm proud to have come up with an affordable housing design that serves to give existing residents new neighbors and enhances social connectivity. Having residents stick together and spend time with each other was one of my most important goals. This design brings out the best of the community through their favorite things such as gardening, their greenway, and being outside with each other. On the environmental side of this design, I wanted to include a space that can show we can restore the environment, teach people the importance of proper stormwater management. Climate change is one of the biggest issues we face today, and I hope my design has proven we can create development and be environmentally sustainable at the same time. Thank you for watching my presentation.